as someone who'd got bullied for playing the violin when everyone else was playing football, he looked at the kind of 18 to 30 lads and thought, you know, I could be one of them. No more bullying. That's the way forward. I think anyone who can write really beautiful songs is not a full lad. Just can't achieve full lad status. But I think what it did was it allowed him to have an image which the British tabloid public could relate to more easily. He was always interested in changing his image, and it felt like that thing was timely at that point.
What became known as Britpop had this sort of class tourist aspect to it, definitely. Like, it was fashionable to eat in greasy spoon cafes.
I get up when I want, except on Wednesdays when I get rudely awakened by the dustman.
Dog racing bizarrely became a signifier for some kind of bizarre sense of authenticity, and then football, of course, enters the frame similarly.
I sometimes feed the sparrows too.
He discovered football. It seemed to me that Damon started going on about football and got into Chelsea, then, you know, discovered that whole thing, and then all of a sudden it just kind of caught on.
I think Damon in his Sergio Tacchini tracksuit top supporting Chelsea was not altogether dissimilar from a kind of Ziggy Stardust type invention. I think to an extent he was playing a role. He was kind of open about that.
He did it in a kind of ironic way, but he also used it as a kind of armour.
But Damon didn't make people feel comfortable because there was some femininity involved in him that he just couldn't mask no matter how he tried, and also his intelligence couldn't be masked either. And, you know, God forbid that any intelligence seeps into the into a rock song.
Blur's songs dealt with those traditional British themes, sex and class. In '94, they were the kings of all they surveyed.
British music has started to re-establish itself. I mean, this is the Brits, as far as I'm concerned. It should be about British music.
And Blur weren't the only group in town. Britpop was in full swing. Jarvis Cocker, with his own ironic take on class and sex. Supergrass, a trio of clued-up lads having fun in the sun.
We are young, we run green, we got tea, nice and clean. See with a litter on the breeze.
And Suede, who'd broken through to mainstream success, camping it up as if their life depended on it. But this predominantly southern version of Britpop was about to have a rude awakening.
Some rock stars want to look like pixies and fairies, and other rock stars want to look like builders. You know what it goes back to? It goes back to Roundheads and Cavaliers. So you've got bands like The Jam, The Specials, Oasis, and then you've got David Bowie, Mark Bolan, Suede, Morrissey, the Manic Street Preachers, who want to dress up and piss around in, I was going to say girls' clothes. By simple weight of numbers, the Roundheads are going to always have more people following them.
Oasis arrived from the north, from Manchester, to reclaim rock and roll for the ordinary bloke.
Oasis wants to speak to, you know, a mass audience in a way that Blur's not so interested in doing, I don't think.
And Oasis were mad for it.
Noel's not scared of playing in a stadium and wants to be in a stadium, and that's where they naturally should be, and that's the difference. I think it's a sort of different ambition.
Damon didn't really fit in the way that Liam did. There was no arguing that he was, you know, testosterone-fueled lad.
They were the real thing. They were absolutely the real thing. Whereas you've got other bands who might feel like they needed to act to be blokes. No, everyone knows what Oasis' roots were.
Oasis had paid their dues on the Manchester scene. They were a proudly working-class band, openly celebrating their fans' lives and dreams. And they caught the new mood of the nation.
You know, obviously Noel's got a bit more of a sensitive side, which he doesn't like to admit to too often, but you can see that in the songwriting, whereas, you know, Liam, he's a geezer.
The Gallaghers didn't beat about the bush. They were open about drugs and weren't afraid to stir it up. For Oasis, men were men, and women were, well...
Can we have some breasts, please, on this screen? Where are you? Come on. Pull your top up and let's have them out for the lads. Check fucking them out. Look at them. Hey!
The old political correctness went out the window. The newsstands were top-heavy with a new generation of magazines celebrating lad culture.
We admitted we fancied women. Political correctness went out the window because if I did anything with a magazine, it was strike a chord. And an ad agency guy said very early on, he said, I like Loaded because it tells me how I am, not how I should be. And that the magazine had an honesty about the male outlook. All we did was we were just honest about the fact that we love girls.
The reason why those magazines were so popular, I think, with young men at that time was that they actually presented them in a very uncertain world with a very clear idea of what it was to be a bloke.
He's got a bug in his chest, so he needs a lot of rest in the camp shed. He doesn't drink, smoke, laugh, takes herbal baths.
But Blur weren't about to give ground without a fight. It all got a bit silly.
Liam likes to be more in your face than I do. But I'm hard.
Blur had now recast themselves as lads, with an ironic twist. For their chart battle with Oasis, they recruited Loaded's favourite poster girls and chased them around. Ironically, it was war.
The initial vision for Britpop that Suede had was akin to a Mike Leigh film, and I think it was hijacked by various crap bands who turned it into a carry-on film.
By getting to #1, Blur won the battle, but Oasis won the war. Even Robbie Williams, now ex-Take That, wanted in on the act and joined the Oasis bandwagon.
You had Loaded and FHM came along and it was all very laddish. You had that whole lad culture, and then the girls got in on the act, quite rightly so. So you have the likes of Zoe and Sarah Cox being touted as these little ladettes who drink Jack Daniels all the time and do everything that lads do. Why shouldn't they?
My wife's been accused of it on many occasions. They didn't have to be the little woman who stayed at home on Friday nights. You know, they could come out with the boys or they could go out with the girls, and they're allowed to drink in public and swear in public.